Welcome back. A popular gas station now facing legal action in South Carolina. So a man who tripped over a rope holding down Buc-ee's large inflatable beaver mascot in Florence County is now suing the company for injuries that he sustained in the fall. Richard Brown says that he was walking on the sidewalk in May of 2022 when he then tripped over a rope. The complaint says that Brown sustained several injuries. Buc-ee's has yet to comment on the incident.
Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes joins us now. And Khalif, I have been to this Buc-ee several times with my son. It's one of his favorite places, and it's real easy to get distracted as you are walking in there and walking around as well.
I've never been into a Buc-ee's, but I mean, there's like, is it a gas station really? I mean, it's 75,000 square feet, seems more like a convenience store, like a mall. It doesn't seem like a gas station. But what I can tell you is this lawsuit is intriguing to me for a couple of instances. First of all, this is a personal injury type of claim. So do you have a duty? Like I walk you guys through all the time. Did they breach that duty? Are they the proximate cause of the injury, and do you have any damages? Obviously, this person had damages. Obviously, you have a duty to ensure that people don't trip over or fall over things within your store. Did you breach that duty? That's, I guess, will be up for the courts to determine. And are you the proximate cause? So I think that portion is there. So now what are your defenses? How do you defend this type of claim? In this instance, I think the only argument they have is something called an open and obvious issue, is where you can clearly see that this thing is here. It needs electricity so that it can be powered up. I mean, you see the long cord.
This thing is a giant inflatable beaver.
It's inflatable. It didn't inflate on its own. You see the generator there. So if I'm arguing as a defense, I'm saying there are a number of open and obvious things where you could have avoided this.
Right.
If this was North Carolina, which is not, if you contribute at any portion to your injury, your claim is barred. South Carolina is different. Normally it's contributory negligence, which is you have an opportunity to say, well, how much did you contribute to your own failure? In this case, I'm looking at the video, and if everybody else is jumping over the cord because they see it, and then this person walks by and doesn't even recognize it at all, open and obvious all day, and that's what I'm pointing to.
So when I was looking at this case, I thought of Brian because all I've heard is how Buc-ee's is so amazing, but not to make light of this story. When I did look at it, I'm thinking of Friday, you know, how much you can get for a slip and fall. And it's like, I think it's the obvious thing. If you have not been there before, you might not realize that this rope is there. If you attend all the time, you know this big beaver is there. But I just wonder how much of a case do you really have?
The biggest thing is what Brian said, because it's like, you know, an amusement park, it's a theme park. You're going in there's a whole lot going on. That would be their counter to the open and obvious. Like, not only did he not have an opportunity to see it, you guys contributed to this because you have all these other attractions that he can go to. Here's the food, here are these vendors, here's these other things to shop for. So because I'm looking around in 80 different places, I didn't have an opportunity to see this cord that I should have looked over and jumped over like everyone else did. And so it will be a back and forth to determine, well, how open and obvious really was this danger that you guys laid out.
What legal thing do you have, though? Because you have to put up some sort of signage, or is there's people walking in a normal walkway and you have this cord out where the beaver is?
So you have a duty to protect, right? That duty, and did you breach that duty? And first of it is, how do I mitigate the risk to this potential danger that's out there? If I know that I have a rope that someone walking is in the aisle and they could trip over it, you know, you put the plastic coverings over it. You put those things where they put extension cords when you're at events, and it's like the plastic where it lays over it so you don't trip over it. You're not actually stepping on it. A sign, something like that would be great. You know, a number of things. You would do any or all of those to ensure that if I'm walking them through how do we mitigate this potential risk, that's what you're doing. It's like when you have a person come with a bounce house to a back to school event. They're having that same thing. They got 5 and 6 generators running around powering these big bounce houses. Well, every time you're putting them to the back. You don't see them in the front because the kids aren't running in the back. But if they get them in the front, now you're just a danger for them to potentially trip over that while at the same time trying to have fun. This is the exact same thing. When you're putting this in place, it's the design, it's the strategy. Do I make sure that people that are coming to my store to spend money don't injure themselves? Because that's the first duty, protect them, and obviously don't hurt the brand.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said that because I remember being at the airport this weekend and there was a step that I came down and the lady sat there all day and said, watch your step, watch your step, watch your step. And I was like, good thing she said that.
And it was worth paying her to do that.
It was right, because if it happens repeatedly that somebody is jumping and falling over this rope, I would think that you'd put some kind of somebody out there, but I don't know.
One of these things will happen after this. They'll pay. And eventually, at some point, there'll be someone saying, watch your step.
Put some signs up or change it wherever you put those ropes.
But it won't stop you.
It's not going to stop Brian from going to Buc-ee's or West.
Probably not.
Rhodes, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay.